Good evening to anyone who's listening. My name's Robert Turner, and I just want to talk again about Football Index. This is my second video, very quickly, and basically it's just I want to put some ideas forward to Football Index to stop the market really collapsing like it is. If you saw me in the first video, I had a big beard and I was looking after my son, so I couldn't really talk properly. So this one, I want to go through the ideas I suggested in that, but also another idea that I think football can implement ASAP really, and I think they need to do it ASAP. Um, so I'll just touch on this idea, just go through it quickly. I'll come back to it, and then I'll go through my ideas in the first one and maybe elaborate on them a little bit more. So the thing that I think they should implement straight away is for when punters try and put a sell offer price in on a player. Basically, an agreement comes up that you cannot cancel this offer for, let's just say, 48 hours. I think this will stop people keep trying to undercut people and dropping the price of the player really quickly, because what we're getting is players that just keep dropping and dropping, and I'm assuming it's just the same people who are cancelling the bid and just putting it a little bit cheaper each time. So what I think is really simple. When you put in a player on the market for sale, a little agreement comes up saying that you cannot cancel this for 48 hours. I mean, the timing can change, but I think just for the moment, stop people cancelling that bid, offer sell price, lowering it, and keep doing that. So a player, if it is just a couple of people who keep doing this and bringing the market value down, I think it will definitely slow that down, potentially maybe even stop it, because people might, stop being obsessed with just trying to get people to match their bids, because I think like it is really addictive. I don't know if you've been like me, you've been looking at it loads. I haven't been trying to sell loads of players, which is probably really negatively affected me over this, but I've kept thinking it can't keep going down, but it has. I still think the market is going to keep going down, because I just think that is the market at the moment. I can't foresee prices jumping up unless if something's put in place, to make it a little bit more difficult to just keep cancelling and putting another bid in. So I think it's a really simple idea. Another alternative to this is maybe if someone buys players, they can't sell them for X amount of time, but it's just a similar solution to what I'm putting in here, but the opposite. So you can't sell a player for 48 hours. Is an alternative to the other one, but I think like sometimes people might have spent a bit too much money on it because prices are so good, and they might need to sell them. So I don't know if that's the best idea in the world, but I think when you put an offer in, a sell price in for someone, actually having an agreement that a little contract comes up, a little disclaimer saying it has to stay in for 48 hours, you can't cancel it. It'll stop people keep panic selling to try and be the best bidder. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that idea. I can go through a bit of pros and cons on it later if I can think of any before I end of this video. And then obviously I just want to touch on my first ideas. This is so like I don't know how many people are out there, but I try and play for in-play dividends. So I'll buy players and try and hold on to them for a month. So at the moment, I'm getting players pretty cheap. I'm quite happy to hold them for 4 weeks generally, unless if they jump up, which they haven't been doing. They've been jumping down. So I just think, well, I'm quite happy to hold them, recycle them after 4 weeks. So hopefully I can sell them, buy them back a little bit cheaper, and I'll keep them for 4 weeks again. But I think there needs to be a bit of a bigger incentive for people to keep these. So maybe now, you know, you're paying the 2p in every pound for a bid and 2p in every pound for sell. So maybe if they put something in place which you know, every player you buy, you know, you keep them, you know, you get 60 days in play dividends or 90 days in play dividends. I think this is a really good idea to stop people maybe selling players, because you're more or less thinking of it as a little bit of a longer term, as instead of a gamble, a bet. You see it a bit more as an investment, and you know, and you think, well, you know, at the moment, if I can pick up someone and I don't have to sell them for 90 days, 60 days, you know, you're more likely to just hold on to that player. My other idea in it was obviously to do with in-play dividends, and if you know your 30 days is up, it'd be nice if you had an automatic renewal, that instead of you have to selling them at end of month and buying them back, you can pick and choose when you activate in-play dividends. So you get them for the 30 days naturally. Then you maybe pay, I don't know, a penny a share or 2p a share if they're over £1.50. You know, and under £1.50, you pay a penny a share. And, you know, you can activate them for that another 30 days, you know, without selling and rebuying. And I think, you know, people will be able to manage the portfolio a lot better. They don't feel forced to sell, because they can just automatically renew it with just a penny or 2p a share. I think people will be a lot less likely to sell the players, because they think, well, I can just automatically renew them, and if they go up, you know, to a decent price, then maybe I can sell them and buy someone else and keep them in my portfolio. But you know, you're looking more longer term to keep people again doing that, because you think, well, I've got no rush to sell them. You know, whether they fluctuate a few pence up and down, you know, I can just keep renewing them when I think they've got an easy set of fixtures for a month or more games, or you know, and then if they're injured, you don't feel like, oh, I need to sell. You can think, well, I can just not renew him. I can keep him there, and then when he's back on the pitch, you know, I can look at renewing him then, and I don't feel like I have to sell that player just because he's injured. You know, maybe I'll even, if they do drop, I'll pick up a few extra players and a few extra shares in him and do it that way. So they were my couple ideas in my first videos, just to discuss this. So in-play dividends, like obviously potential benefits, obviously for the user, you know, you're not feeling forced to sell. You can keep them in your portfolio, you know. You'll gain a bit more trust in the platform, because you're not constantly looking at sells and buys and who else you can get, because you know, if you're quite happy purchasing a player, you know, you can do it for a bit more long term. Sorry, the Brighton Aston Villa's on in background, so I keep having a glance over when something seems to happen, but no really exciting happened then. But anyway, so like some more benefits is obviously going more trusting market. For me, it'll alleviate a lot of stress of this market at the moment, this volatile market that it is. You know, that I can just keep my players, and let's just see what happens in the coming months, because I mean, my personal opinion, just think the marketplace is now as it is. You know, you're going to see a few people jump up a few percentages and down a few percentages as it goes on. I still don't think it's hit the bottom, which is pretty scary because of the prices of players at the moment. But I generally think it. You know, this weekend there's been a slightest bit of jump up where you can maybe get a few pence back. But for me, I've just stuck with what I've got. I've been trying to recycle players. You know, try and get rid of players I don't want and put them in to players who I do want to put my portfolio in. I mean, like, that's the way I want to do it, and you know, I shouldn't be panicking because the market's completely panicking. But I can see if it carries on the way it's going, it's gonna scare people away and ultimately negatively affect Football Index, because there's going to be less people on the platform, or you know, once there's less people trading, it's going to be scary how low potential it's going to go if they don't tighten any belts anywhere to stop it going extremely low. I also mentioned in my last video, like I read somewhere that there's over. Oh yeah, sorry. I'll just go back. So back onto the thing. The positives and negatives. A positive for this for Football Index would be that they're still getting the 2p's every month, and 1p's every month for people renewing players. But a little bit negative for them is at the moment, this trade happening all the time, and they're getting 2p every bid that's matched, 2p bid that's sold. So I think they're getting quite a lot of money in at the moment through people's panic. But I think like long term, people are gonna lose trust, faith, if they haven't already, and get tired of this thing, because it's been pretty intense for me just watching it. Like I've almost started thinking maybe I'm gonna even delete my app, because I've got my bids in for a month. I might not even look at it for 2 weeks and just see where it is. That is how I feel. I mean, I won't, because of my addictive personality. I'll have to watch and see what bargains out there, and see if they're like mine can drop under £1 or something, which would be ridiculous, because I got, it's pretty close to that. But anyway, there's a few pros and cons to them ideas. Obviously, let's go back to another one in my first video where I mentioned about getting rid of the dead players, dead wood, and giving people maybe a percentage of the cash back, or maybe the cash that they've put into these players, giving them back, delisting them, and then ultimately forcing people to have a separate account that is just for insta buys. And basically the idea behind this is, let's just say, I don't know how much the whole thing's worth, but if they give 10 million back to the punters of Deadwood, delist them, might sound quite a lot, but I reckon it'll be about 1,000 players, maybe 800, and you do this in stages. So maybe like in stage 1, so then, sorry, Lamptey's just been sent off, so he's probably gonna drop to drop like 30p, and probably more, ridiculous. So basically, you're giving 10 million back into it for people to bid, and you do it in maybe a week at a time. Each week, these players are getting delisted. You're getting your money back. Obviously, it might upset a few people who've got bids in, the odd person, but I mean, to get rid of the deadwood now, I mentioned like people like Shirley, who's retired. I mean, he might come out of retirement, but I mean, who wouldn't take the money back for that? And players who are like, I mentioned Huddersfield Town in Championship, they're very unlikely to get back to Premiership, and probably the players that are there, you're on. There might only be one worth keeping, rest are probably just worth getting, and you can probably go through a lot of the Championship teams. I don't even know if there's any other players lower than that, like for Sunderland and stuff. They're a long way off the Premiership. Let's just get them off, unless if they're a bit of a wonder kid, like Eze last season and stuff like that. I think there's just been a penalty awarded now for Villa in that 92nd minute. Bit of entertainment in the background. But anyway, so I think obviously the pros and cons to this. A massive pro is that money's coming back into the market, where it's just getting rid of people's bids. It's a short-term fix to get rid of the bids. They could just drop again. So without actually tightening the belt on that and making people a little bit harder to to put them in. You just don't want it to go up a little bit and then drop, and then go up a bit and then drop. Hopefully, with that money coming into the market, it'll start an upward trend and people might get back to a decent value. But I think we've just got to accept probably where the market is. Maybe not even now. It might even have to drop another 10 or 15% to hit the bottom, and maybe that's just where trade is going to be on that, which seems a bit ridiculous. And then as soon as someone comes in form, people start buying, and they might jump up ridiculous. But if they do, everyone's just going to want to sell at the moment. So if you've bought loads of shares in Mane, and let's just say he gets a couple of hat-tricks on trot, and then jumps back up to £2.80 or whatever he were, £2.70. You're not gonna just keep him at that, because you just think you can invest that money elsewhere a lot better. So most people are just gonna want to sell. So the whole market has to gradually grow for people not to want to sell. If you sort of think like that way. So obviously, I can only really see positives with this, other than for Football Index that are probably going to have to shell out that 10 million, but it's not really shelling out, it's just giving it back. And then potentially you might get 3 or 4 million of that, of people just wanting to get out and get the money and run. But the other people might be really happy and get some players and build their portfolio and gain confidence and start investing in it a bit more and stuff like that, and circulating money. So I just want to go see if I can go through a few positives and negatives of putting that. So when you place someone on offer as a sell price, putting that delay in, I think this is only pluses for everyone who's normal. It might stop the people, who are obviously got that addictive personality and just want to get people matched and reinvest and match and reinvest. I think this'll it'll make you really think before you just try and sell someone. I think it'll be really good to see, but I don't know why something like this isn't already in place. Really, just thinking about it, because it's such a simple thing to put in, and I think it can only delay the market going crazy. If it still keeps going in the future, I think like other things have to be put in place as well to get the marketplace back up to maybe where it should be. But that penalty must have got cancelled. Oh well. I did have Grealish in my dream team, so he'd have probably been taking that. Nightmare. Anyway, that's probably the ups and downs of my ideas. I do think this one really should be implemented ASAP. Really, because something has to be put in place to stop everything dropping, or at least slow it down till they can put some more measures in place that'll get the market going again, and get the punters and people who like to use it actually as an alternative investment format. Anyway, let me know your thoughts to the video, the ideas, which one you would like to see Football Index come in. I will reply to any messages when I can, and hopefully people will watch this, like this, and whatever. And I'll soon, once everything's calmed down, I'll start sharing my portfolio with you, go through where I've bought, and sort of how I invest for the in-play dividends. I've not been with Football Index that long, but I can see like holding on a player for a month and cashing in on them in-play dividends is real. I really enjoy that side of it. It's always a bit hard when someone jumps up and jumps down, not to panic, but I mean, you have to have a game plan, and you probably have to think of that, and decide what you want to do with your football index portfolio, and hopefully, by me showing you what I do, you know, might change the way you want to do your portfolio, but I doubt it. But you never know. Anyway, thanks, and I'll speak to you in a bit. Bye.